Lomachenko again, man. I'm gonna try to keep this short because it's not really too much to talk about. But anyway, Loma went in there and did what he had to do tonight. Let's talk about what he did. He kept his left foot on the outside of his opponent's dominant foot. That forced his opponent to stay in front of him no matter where he was spinning. What he was trying to do was he was trying to be herky-jerky. He had his guard in real tight like this, and he was bobbing and weaving, and then trying to roll. So what he was doing was he had the right idea by doing the roll, but the bad part about it was first of all, he didn't anticipate how much Loma would smother him tonight, and then two, when Loma was smothering him, he was throwing punches everywhere this dude was. So he really didn't know where Loma was because he had his head down tight beneath his guard. So he couldn't really see where Loma was, and he couldn't even really see where he was. So when he would take a spin out after making all of those movements, he didn't really know where he was at. So he had to take he would end up taking a lunging step back, which is a mistake because you expunge too much energy on your legs when you do that. So he was using a lot of his hamstrings and his calves, and that's gonna bring wear and tear on your legs anyway. So anybody that has played sports or anybody that works out, you know what I'm talking about. When you've been working on your legs, let's just say you just finished running, for about 15-20 minutes, and then you want to try to go and do some lunges, or let's just say you're doing some leg presses, and then after you get finished doing your leg press, you want to go ahead and try to do some squats, and after you do your squats, you want to try to do some lunges. That's a mistake, man. So that's pretty much the amount of pressure that this guy was placing on his legs. But you got to give Loma some credit, because the amount of pressure that he was bringing to this guy, he didn't have any choice but to move erratically the way that he was moving, because there was nowhere else for him to go. So Loma found himself chasing this guy around the ring, because this guy was at certain points running away, from the attack. So good game plan for Loma. He pressed him all night long. He was never out of his face. He was throwing some pity-pat punches in there, throwing off this guy's timing and throwing off his rhythm, keeping his hands at bay. His opponent was not able to really throw anything back, except for maybe, I would say, in the first 3 to 4 rounds, he was trying to throw some solid shots. But even with Loma being cut by the headbutts that he received, he was still in this guy's face. And I've said this before in a few other videos, that when you have an opponent that does not back down from the attack, and he's constantly in your face, constantly pressing the attack, constantly moving forward, that's going to do something to your psyche. It's gonna make you believe that you're not really doing any damage to him. His skill set was more superior. It didn't look good for Lomachenko's opponent tonight. So his speed was on point, Loma's. His accuracy wasn't all that great because of the herky-jerkiness of his opponent. He was moving and bobbing and weaving and spinning and stuff. But he ended up getting knocked down because of what I said earlier in the video. Loma made sure that his left foot, his dominant foot, was on the outside of his opponent's. And when you do that, like I said, you don't leave your opponent many directions to go, moving laterally, left or right. So this guy obviously knew that he wouldn't be able to get away from Loma's attack that well, so he was trying to turn Loma around. But in doing so, like I said, he had his guard so tight and his head tucked so low in between his guard, he couldn't see where he was. Plus, Loma was in his face, but he couldn't really tell which direction Loma was in, because he was moving all over this guy's body from left to right, throwing punches. So his orientation was off, and that's what caused him to get knocked down twice in the fight. They called it a TKO in the 8th. He didn't want to come out. After he had went to his corner, he was sustaining just too much. He was sustaining too many punches, and on top of it, it was nothing else that he could do other than bob, weave, and roll. So eventually he was going to get knocked out, and his corner pretty much figured, what was going on with this guy. And they just said, forget it. We don't want to continue to go anymore with this guy. I mean, he's in here making us look bad. He has our guy in here running the track meet, backwards. He's running his 100 backwards, and that's exactly what he was doing with the additional lunge with his right foot to get out of there. So much credit to Lomachenko, man. I didn't really see anything that superior tonight because his opponent really his intent was to make things hard for Loma tonight. But he still put together some pretty good shots in there. He was trying to entertain the crowd, telling his, forcing this guy to get him in the corner, standing there, with his hands out. Just playing with the top of this dude's head with his gloves and stuff, doing stuff like this to him, just messing around with this guy, man. So, I mean, it was entertaining. The fans got what they paid for. And in the end, this guy comes out with another win. But like I've been saying before, I want to see Loma in there with some stiff competition. And it's not his fault, the level of competition that's left in his division. So he's just going to have to clean his division out and go ahead and move on up, man, to maybe, 140, 135, 140. I would like to see him go to 140, but not so quick. Work your way up by cleaning out divisions and then get there. So congratulations to Loma tonight, all the Loma fans. I know you guys are pretty happy about that, and if you haven't seen it, I hope you have an opportunity to see it. It was on ESPN tonight. So I'm going to try to keep this short, man. That's pretty much it. That's all I got. I enjoyed the fight. Peace.